You have one simple question: MCAT prep course or self-study? $2,000 or free 99? I'll answer that question right now. You get a text or a Twitter notification. Both of them say the same thing: MCAT registration is now open. Frantically, you hop onto your computer, you log into the AMC, and you check if the closest site near you is available. Thankfully, it is. You sign up, you pay that egregious fee, and finally, the alarm bells turn down. They go quiet. It's silent. You relax. You enjoy the silence. 5 seconds go by, a smile creeps on your face, and you think, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna take this exam, kill it, and I'm gonna become a doctor. In fact, your white coat magically appears next to you in your daydream. But after some time, a singular, tiny, creeping thought comes back into the forefront of your attention. It screams, wait, how am I gonna prepare for this exam again? Suddenly, all your research comes flooding right back. TPR versus Kaplan versus Berkeley Review, AMC full length 1 versus 2 versus 3. Should I buy Blueprint full exams? Are the Exam Crackers books better than the Princeton Review books? Anki, Khan Academy, r/Reddit, Jack Weston. Man, there are just so many resources. You browse all the company websites, looking through your emails for discount code over discount code, and suddenly something catches your eye. $1,800? $1,799 for an online course? Even more for an in-person course? Upwards of $6,000 for a live course? Then, the one question we all ask ourselves rings resonant in your mind. I can study for this exam by myself, right? I don't need a MCAT prep company. Well, my friend, today we're answering that exact question. And if you're new here, my name is Michael. I'm a UCLA medical student, and on this corner of the internet, we explore ways to live happier, more fulfilling pre-med lives. Here are the main points of today's video. 1, MCAT prep courses give you structure and accountability. 2, MCAT courses lets you ask questions and work with your colleagues live. 3, MCAT prep courses gives you all the resources and all the materials that you'll need. You don't need to think a second thought about it. On the flip side of things, there are some things to deter you from taking an MCAT course. 1, MCAT courses are pricey. They're real bready. 2, MCAT prep courses aren't very flexible. They structure your time without your input. And 3, probably the most compelling reason not to take an MCAT course is that courses go at the pace of the lowest common denominator. We'll end the video with some alternatives to some MCAT prep courses, some ways you can self-study, and I'll leave you with my recommended resources if you're looking to prepare for the MCAT and spend less than $1,000. But also, if you do have the money, I'll give you some of my best resources if you're looking to spend a little bit more. You can find those recommended resources in the description box below. Number 1, MCAT prep courses give you structure and accountability. Derek Sivers, a writer, entrepreneur, and an avid student of life, shares this very telling quote: "If more information was the answer, we'd all be billionaires with six-pack abs." So while theoretically you could get through the MCAT on your own, and many thousands of students have done so, the key player in that equation is you. You have to figure out what to study. You have to figure out when to study. You have to figure out what resources to use. You have to figure out what exams are worth your time. With an MCAT prep course, none of those questions exist because all of that is done for you. You're studying these chapters on Tuesday, doing these practice questions on Thursday, and on Saturday, you're taking this practice exam. What's more, you can rest assured knowing that if you get through all of that content, if you follow the schedule that they give you, you'll be good. You'll have covered everything you need to excel on the exam. This is a schedule that's tried and true by thousands of other students in decades of time before you, and it's worked for them. But to be clear, you're not those thousands of other students. You're you. You're one student. The same student who might need more help with organic chemistry, but killed their biochemistry and don't really need to spend that much time on it. If you're familiar with my other videos, this is the same problem that we discussed in the video, Your Medical School Chances Are Higher Than You Think. Leaving that there. The overall medical school acceptance rate is 40%. But you get a different admissions odds based on your specific GPA and MCAT score. If you're curious, feel free to pause the video, check out that video in the description box below, and then come back to this one once you understand that concept. So remember, statistics apply to populations, not individuals. MCAT prep courses are built for general pre-med students, but not the pre-med student that matters most. And that's you. Some courses nowadays are trying to combat that by customizing your study plan based on your strengths and weaknesses. It's a great idea, but of course, it's not going to be perfect. You'll get a pre-module assessment on some topic, and if you do well, then the idea is that you know it well enough to skip it altogether. Still, no algorithm is perfect or perfectly representative. The quiz might not cover every detail about what you need to know, and you might get the quiz question right, but if you see the same concept on a real MCAT passage, you might not get that same question right. Or you just might have been lucky on that day and got the question right then. But you certainly would benefit from reviewing that material. This is the danger of the structure of an MCAT course plan. It's stiff, it's systematic, and it doesn't fit what you need. Moving away from structure a little bit, you'll also get accountability. You show up to class live and in person 3 to 5 times every week, or however your schedule calls for, and you'll make some progress on your MCAT studying each and every single day, with the rest of your classmates doing the exact same thing. When you're self-studying, it can be easy to take some days off, especially the ones where you're not feeling your A game. It can be hard to show up every single day. And to be fair, most students study full-time for 3 whole months. It's very hard to be on for that amount of time. With an MCAT prep course, you don't really have an option. You're showing up because the schedule said you will, and that's that. You're showing up just like the rest of your classmates. Number 2, MCAT prep courses allows you to ask questions live and work with your colleagues in person. One of my favorite quotes comes from a Chinese proverb that translated loosely that says, "He who asks a question is a fool for 5 minutes. He who does not ask the question remains a fool forever." The strong benefit in enrolling in an MCAT prep course is that part of your investment goes to funding an in-person expert MCAT instructor, there to answer all the questions that you have. When you're confused about a difficult concept or you're stuck on a difficult passage, your MCAT instructor is right there on the spot, ready to answer anything you have. There's no sifting through the index of your textbook, there's no incessant Googling, and there's not hundreds of Reddit threads where you're trying to find the answer. Of course, this will be highly dependent on your teacher. If you luck out with a dedicated, experienced MCAT tutor, someone who isn't just teaching the MCAT to make some money during their gap year, you'll get someone who's really familiar with the exam. They'll have substantial teaching knowledge, they'll walk you through difficult concepts, and you'll learn much better as a result of them being there for you. Of course, if you get an MCAT tutor who's there just for the year, took the MCAT some time ago, and isn't a great teacher, then you might have a resource, but it might just be better for you to look up the answers on your own. And that also applies if you're a learner like me, someone who has to kind of marinate with the complex concepts to even figure out what questions I should ask, to even figure out what I don't know. If you're in that boat, then self-studying can also just be equally as effective for you, because you won't even know what questions to ask the teacher when he's asking everyone, does anyone have any questions? And more than the teacher, you'll also have a class of like-minded students. Everyone's trying to get a 528. And once you guys start working together, Bob will know a little bit more about organic chemistry, Steve's a physics whiz, and Elizabeth, she's a biochem killer. Collectively, you have the opportunity to teach people what you know well, learn from people who know things very well and who are at the same level you are. And that can be a very productive learning experience. You'll get study buddies, study strategies, enough mnemonics to last a lifetime. And overall, you'll feel less lonely just studying for this monster gargantuan exam. Number 3, MCAT prep courses gives you all the materials you need. You don't need to think about anything else. The instant you enroll in a prep course is the same second you get access to resource books, practice exams, textbooks, and hundreds upon hundreds of passages that you never thought you would get through. You'll get through them eventually, but you'll also know that you probably won't need many other resources. You won't have to Google Kaplan versus the Princeton Review, Berkeley versus Blueprint. You'll have what you need, and that'll be that. Now, you can certainly supplement what you have with resources like the AAMC or other full-length practice exams that you think may be more representative. But even if you don't, you'll know that you have everything you need to get a great score on the exam. And again, you can certainly find free content, free question banks, free practice exams on the internet, but you'll have to sit through all the bad content, bad practice exams, and bad question banks in order to find something truly useful. The worst part is you'll only really know if it's not useful after you do it. And that precious time could be going to doing resources that you know for sure are well-studied, well-researched, and updated over time. To be complete, you don't need to enroll in a prep course to get these resources. Many companies will sell just their resources without the dedicated MCAT instructor, without the MCAT study schedule, and without any other live resources that they might offer. So if you're in the middle of self-studying or taking a full-fledged prep course, just buying the bundles from the company, just accessing those resources can be a nice middle ground as well. All right, so let's flip on over to the other side. Reasons why you wouldn't take an MCAT prep course. But before we get there, let's talk about reasons why you wouldn't like this video, comment any questions that you have, and subscribe so you can find all of our future videos on your feed. I can't think of any reasons, truthfully. Can you? Back to the MCATs. Reason number one, MCOR prep courses are expensive. At the time of the video, here are price estimates for two big MCAT prep companies, Kaplan and the Princeton Review. Kaplan online course, $2,499. Online course plus, $2,999. Tutoring and online course, $3,699. And of course, the 5-week bootcamp at $6,999. Moving to the Princeton Review, we're starting heavy with the MCAT 515 plus immersion. That'll cost you $6,999. If you want the lower tier, which feels pretty bad, 510 plus will cost you $3,399, and the ultimate plan will cost you $2,799, and the winter bootcamp will run you $2,599. I don't know about you, but it's hard to come past $6,999. I worked 2 jobs at UCLA for 2 whole years, and I think my max gross was around $6,000. If you simply don't have the money, it's an easy choice. You can enroll in these courses, and that's okay. We have ways to prepare for the MCAT in a much cheaper fashion. And cheaper doesn't mean you'll lose quality. It just means you'll have to do some of the things by yourself. Now, this is a point I don't really see many other YouTube videos talk about, but I think it's an important one. The price is certainly a drawback. Many students just can't access thousands of dollars. But for the students who can, the cost of the program actually becomes a pro. And here's what I mean. This is the first time that these students have really dropped thousands of dollars on their own education, or maybe thousands of dollars of their parents' money. That is a strong driver of accountability just to make sure that the money doesn't go to waste. Anytime you feel like you're slacking on your MCAT studying, you'll remember that thousands of dollars went to this program. Now, to counter that point, there are plenty of other effective ways to keep you accountable while you're studying for the MCAT. So don't feel like you need to throw away thousands of dollars just to be held accountable. But in the name of being complete, I wanted to acknowledge both sides of that argument. And just like medical school admissions, make your decisions holistically. Number 2, MCAT prep courses book your time without your input. We mentioned this earlier, and we're going to drill down the point here. MCAT study schedules are created for the overall population. They're not created for you. Of the thousands of students that have gone through their program, they've aggregated all those students, found a lowest common denominator, and that's what the study schedule is for, that student. And that student's not you. Not only do you have a different study style, different strengths and weaknesses, but more than that, you have a different life. I needed to keep my afternoons free because I enrolled in Spanish 3 at the local community college. On the evenings, I wanted to decompress by playing a heaping load of video games. And on the weekends, I coached youth basketball. My life certainly looks different from yours. You may have to babysit a younger sibling, or work your part-time job as a cashier at the local boba shop, or keep your mornings open just to make your bagels and strawberry schmear. Equally as important, you may just not learn the best at 8 a.m. every single day. Some students have to wake up at 6 a.m., pick up their best friend who's also taking the MCAT course with them, drive 30 minutes to class, sit down, and get ready to absorb 4 hours of organic chemistry, physics, biochemistry, cars, psych, and soc. I can see why you wouldn't be that excited to show up every day at 8 a.m. If it were 10 a.m., things might be a little bit different. You might be a little bit more effective. Because the course is designed for more than one student, it's designed for a general population of students, it can lose its effectiveness when we're talking about each individual student. A student whose mental state might not be great at 8 a.m., but better at 12 p.m., but you can't do that because most of the students are great at 8 a.m. MCAT prep courses take away the flexibility that you might need. The flexibility that allows you to perform at your best and fit in your optimal study hours around your life. This is so you can avoid those 8 a.m.s in class 30 miles away from your home when you're trying to differentiate an amide from an amine, and all you can think about is, I wish I was in bed. When there are 15 other students and an MCAT instructor scheduled to coordinate, everyone just has to show up at some predetermined arbitrary time. And that can't be good for everyone. Number 3, and we've saved the best for last, MCAT prep courses go at the pace of the lowest common denominator. Here's what I mean. Not only are the timing of the instruction and the study schedule not customized to your needs, the speed of instruction is also not. It's the same problem you experience in your undergraduate coursework. You got that one dude who's still trying to figure out what stereochemistry is. He's always raising his hand to get the professor's attention, and every question he asks takes 5 to 10 minutes of the professor's time. Those 5 to 10 minutes don't get put onto something more complex, maybe a different topic like synthesis reactions. And now you understood stereochemistry, you doubled down on something you understood, but you didn't understand synthesis reactions, and you don't have time to go over it. The same holds true for an MCAT prep course. MCAT instructors largely will have to teach at the lowest common denominator's pace. They don't want to leave any students behind. As a result, you'll go much slower than if you were on your own, studying at your own pace, flipping through things you already knew, and spending double the time on the concepts that you need a little bit more help with. That doesn't happen when you're in a class with 15 other people and everyone's asking questions about what they don't understand. And the worst part of it is that it's almost a lose-lose situation. When you need extra time with the topic, and you have to ask the MCAT instructor to answer your question, you might feel the social pressure of thinking, man, if I ask this question, I know everyone else in this class already understands this concept. Everyone's going to have to wait for me. I'm just not going to ask my question. I'll look it up on my own time. Now, that happens more often than I'd like, and I certainly encourage you to ask your question when you have it, but I'm just giving you the reality. These MCAT prep courses, the fact that there's 15 students, the fact that it's so structured and not customized to your needs, has a big drawback when it comes time to speed and effectiveness of your studying. You don't want to be studying someone else's MCAT journey. You want to be on your own MCAT journey, and it's hard to do when 15 of you are in that room studying the same thing. Those are the biggest things you should consider when you're enrolling in an MCAT prep course or just trying to self-study. To be clear, I think each individual student will have an answer that's best for them. Some, I would recommend self-study all the way. Others, I would recommend take a prep course. And most will be somewhere in the middle where there's a combination of resources and a combination of some external structure, support, and something like that. I recommend before you get into your dedicated MCAT study period to try out both. And no, you don't have to finish all of your MCAT prerequisites before you do this. Just try and figure out if you like the setting of an MCAT prep course. In fact, many companies will let you take one or maybe even a couple of classes for free, just so you can see what they're really like. Call them on the phone or email their representatives to arrange that so you can get a sense of what an actual class would like and whether you think that would be useful for you going forward in your 3 months full-time studying. And if you want to try self-studying before you hunker down and actually study for the MCAT, then look through forums like Reddit and Student Doctor Network and see if you enjoy the process of finding your own resources, building your own study schedule, or if it's just so confusing and overwhelming that you don't know where to start. To be honest, if you are self-studying completely, it will be overwhelming. And that's why in this video here, I'll go through everything that I would do if I were personally self-studying for the exam. A company like UWorld that offers practice exams and practice questions, as well as the most recommended resource textbooks I'd recommend you have on hand. A useful addition to that video is my recommended resources for what you should purchase to supplement your MCAT studying. I divided this into two different categories. One for students where cost is what you have to optimize for. And so I have a dedicated list of resources that are less than $1,000. The other is where cost isn't a big deal and you're going for the highest quality resources that money can buy. And I put that in the above $1,000 category as well. Now, if you'd like that breakdown, you can find that in the link in the description box below. Just click that link, tell me where to send it, and you'll see it in your inbox right away. Now, to be clear, no $1 million MCAT prep course, no one-on-one luxury tutor, no perfect self-study regime will get you the MCAT score that you need unless you already know how to study effectively. A perfect study schedule with a perfect tutor, with a perfect practice exam does very little for you if you don't know how to understand complex concepts, remember them, as well as the large fund of facts that you're going to have to remember for the MCAT. While that does sound like bad news, the good news is that I cover all of that and much more in our science-based study fundamentals series. You can find that here, and I think it's a great video if you're looking to upgrade the way you study for your school classes or for the big MCAT. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then, take it easy. Oh, shoot, you're still here? Well, thanks for watching to the end of the video. And second, I was just working on this quiz. It's this medical school chances calculator. You just take a 10-question quiz, and at the end of it, you get your strengths, your weaknesses, and a customized school list. If you want to take it, here's the QR code. I mean, if that didn't work, here's a QR code as well. And then I'll also put the link in the description box below. Well, I'm gonna go back to finishing the quiz, and I'll see you later.